Before we talk about where we are, we must first remember from whence we came. Marty Schottenheimer brought winning football back to Kansas City and built what is now known as Chiefs Kingdom.
We transitioned from a team built on its defense in the 90s to one of the most dominant offenses and return men in NFL history, led by Dick Vermeil.
In 2012, a 2-14 Chiefs team displayed disastrous play on the field and turmoil off it. We asked to save our Chiefs, and in came Andy Reid, who immediately turned this franchise into a perennial playoff team.
Then, on April 27, 2017, the Chiefs broke free from their journeyman quarterback restraints and drafted Patrick LeVon Mahomes.
In 6 years with Patrick at the helm, we're back-to-back champs and a dynasty headed towards a three-peat. We are unrelenting for this city, these players, and this team. This is the show for the allies. Arrowhead allies.
Welcome in, everyone. This is Arrowhead Allies, and we are live in Kansas City, Missouri, where you will be glued to your seat for the next hour as we welcome two-time Super Bowl champion and current Kansas City Chiefs safety Justin Reid later on in the show. And pretty soon joining us will be former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver and current Avila head football coach Derrick Alexander will be joining the show shortly. Guys, it is good to be king here in Chiefs Kingdom.
Amen to that. Where else can you get better content on any other Chiefs website? Not. You got it right here. Starcade Media Arrowhead Allies. As Dusty Rhodes said when Hulk Hogan came to the ring at Bash of the Beach in 1996. What did he say?
Whose side is he on?
Oh, that's what Bobby said. He said, "Go get him, Hulky baby." And that's who we are. We're going to get it.
Wow, it's great to be here. Lance Twidwell, Brian B. Shinen. Guys, we did a pre-recorded interview with Justin Reid earlier. That's going to air a little bit later in the program. At the top of the hour, we're going to have Derrick Alexander join us from those 90s Chiefs. Derrick Alexander, guys, when you think about the lineage of Chiefs receivers, vastly underrated. He had a tremendous season in 2000. Elvis Gerback threw 500 yards in a game in 2000 in a loss to the Oakland Raiders. But Derrick Alexander was a pivotal point of those offenses. And unfortunately, you know, as Gunther Cunningham kind of took the helm in 99 and 2000, we were never able to quite get or keep the momentum going from the Marty era. And so Derrick kind of got lost in that, the transition from Marty to Gunther Cunningham. And in 98, Shane, you know as well as I do, that Chiefs team, was that the 16-0 Kansas City Chiefs we were supposed to be?
Right.
Not quite. Yeah. It was 7-9. Bummer.
It was. Derrick Alexander was a highly coveted free agent back when the Chiefs actually paid a lot of money in free agency for wide receivers. Derrick Alexander was that guy. He came in and he was solid. For the 4 years that he was with Kansas City, we appreciated him and we loved his play. You know, number 82, there was some big plays. Who can forget about those reverse sweep or the 80-yard reverse against the Steelers? I mean, he could move. He could move in the open field, and he was a threat down the field. Yes, those were 1998 was supposed to be 16-0, according to Jason Whitlock from the Kansas City Star. It didn't happen, and Marty Schottenheimer retired, and the rest is Gunther Cunningham history. So, yeah, it was a bad year, but glad to have Derrick Alexander.
We would love to be welcoming him right now, but it's live TV, folks. You never know, right? Noah Groniger here, producer.
No, you do not know. You never know. But what we do know is that the Kansas City Chiefs are hosting a charity softball game, and it will be Thursday night, June 6th. So get your tickets at kansascitycharitysoftball.com. Wow. I mean, we've got a lot of good people entering this, whether it's Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis, obviously being hosted by Justin Reid, who you will hear from later in this show, and Trey Smith will be hosting it instead of MVS, who has found a new home there in Buffalo.
Good to have these guys, man. Justin Reid and Trey Smith have become real pillars here And Justin was really one of the good players last year. And he's got some special surprises coming up. We've heard George Karlaftis has been announced. Trent McDuffie just earlier. Luis Reese-Zammit. Can't wait to meet that Brit. And Justin Ross is going to be there. And guys, it's happened. Forget it.
And stick with Starcade. Starcade will be there on the field with these guys doing interviews.
Shucks.
Watch Starcade Media Thursday and Friday night. If it's not uploaded Thursday night, it'll be up Friday. You'll see the great duo of Noah Groniger and Clint Schweitzer talking to Justin Ross, asking him about the fan page that was started by Shaggy Shane, which I greatly appreciate. Them asking about him at the Super Bowl. But definitely check out the interviews from Starcade with these players at the softball tournament on Starcade Media.
Thank you very much, Shane. And my friend, you have talked about the duo of Clint and I, but I want to talk to our first guest, number 82 in your programs, number 1 in your heart, part of a great duo between Elvis Gerbach and this man, Derrick Alexander. Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thank you.
Hello. Derrick, look at you, the head coach of Avila University there, and you are looking dapper here in the off season. You just enjoying it, getting stuff ready to go. What's the life of a coach like here in June for you?
Well, it's a little slow right now, but getting those guys going, off season program, lifting weights, getting those guys running, still doing a little bit of recruiting, finishing up the roster, but getting ready to go.
Derrick, kind of to start off your whole coaching career, we want to go back to the Chiefs selecting you for the Bill Walsh Coaching Fellowship in 2017, Patrick Mahomes' rookie year, a young Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill you see there. Take us back to that experience working with those young guys who have now turned into mega superstars. And I want you to also compare and contrast a Marty Schottenheimer training camp versus an Andy Reid training camp.
Oh, man. Well, first of all, that was a great opportunity for me to be at training camp with those guys. And actually, when I was there, man, you could see that especially Patrick was going to be a special guy. From his rookie training camp, you could tell that he was going to be something special. And Tyreek, seeing him in person for the first time, was like, man, this is the fastest guy I've seen just in person ever. he ran so easily. It was so impressive. But you could tell those guys were on track to do something special back at that time. But again, just a great opportunity to be around those guys and be around Andy and the coaching staff and learn some more coaching, see how they handle their guys, see what they do, how they run a program. Which helped me to propel me to where I am now. But the training camp difference. We were still in 2-a-days back then, where they're at sometime a 3-a-day, where we're full pads, both practices, almost the entire training camp. So it's a little bit different now. Those guys can only be in pads so many days in the year, let alone training camp. But with the off-season programs that they have now, it's a little bit different than what we had. We did have OTAs and things like that. And I think that's kind of where it started, where during the off-season, back in the day, even when I first got drafted back in the 90s, off-season was just beginning to become a thing where guys hung around most of the time in the off-season. So training camp was really a time where you came back, you needed to get in shape and to get ready for the season. Now those guys are in shape. They're ready to go. They have all the offense in. Everybody's been there for a few weeks. And, training camp is just a tune-up.
Derrick, let's get right to the beginning of your career. You were 29th overall pick by the Cleveland Browns in the first round. Your rookie season, you got Coach Belichick, a solid veteran quarterback, and Vinny Testaverde. You go to the playoffs. You win a game. You make it to the divisional round. The second season's 1995. You're on your second year in the league. You're the legendary Cleveland Browns. You just picked up Andre Rison as your second wide receiver. You start the season 3-1. Everything's looking for good for the Cleveland Browns as well as the city of Cleveland. Can you tell us what the 1995 season was like when Art Modell announced that he was moving that team at the end of that season to Baltimore? And did the weight of that negativity from the fans of being so brokenhearted, did that fall onto the team's vibe going in or finishing that season? What was that overall vibe like? Because the Cleveland Browns are they have a lot of rich history, and the fact that they left Cleveland like that was shocking. What was that like for you in the locker room?
Well, it was tough. Again, because we were coming off a playoff year, and we started off, pretty good the next season. We were looking forward to, taking that next step, trying to advance further in the playoffs. But the announcement, I think, really pulled us down a little bit. It pulled the fans down. The support was leaving. I mean, by the time we got close to the end of the season, I mean, there were no advertisements in the state. It was like we were at practice. It felt like, not a whole lot of support from the fans. And obviously being upset that, to leave a town like Cleveland didn't seem possible. And it really didn't feel real to us during the season. I mean, we were feeling the effects from the fans not being there and things like that. But it really didn't hit me personally until the season was over and I was actually driving to Baltimore. Like, this is going to be our new place. It was a little disjointed for us, and then obviously the season didn't go the way we wanted it to go. We went downhill, but Cleveland was a great place. I mean, it was close for me, close to home, although it was in Ohio. I was in enemy territory with all the Ohio State fans, but it's still a great place to be and play football. I had a few of my teammates there from Michigan, so it was good. I mean, we had a great time down there. It was a good place. It was a great sports city, but obviously, I mean, the stadium, you wouldn't think that that's an NFL stadium when you go there. Obviously, me coming from Michigan, it felt like kind of a step down. Although our training facility was very nice, right? It was top notch. And then you go to your home stadium. The Indians had just got a new stadium, baseball stadium. The Cavaliers had a new basketball arena, and we were kind of stuck, in the old stadium, which is, what kind of made Modell want to leave. I think he gave them opportunity. I won't get in. I don't know the logistics. I have no idea. But, as far as being a player there, it was, for me, it was a great place. I mean, it was close to home. I got a lot of family and friends that come watch me play all the time. So it felt good. And knowing the Browns tradition and what we were trying to do there, it was kind of hurtful for us to move. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and you got to go where they say go.
Yeah, man, you and Gerbag were together at Michigan. How much of that transpired to you all's chemistry in the NFL with the Chiefs, specifically in the 2000 season when you all just went off dynamite together?
Yeah, I think it helped a lot, and that kind of helped my decision in free agency to come to Kansas City. Andre was here. I played with him again in Cleveland. I knew Andre from being at Michigan State, playing against him, but playing with Elvis and having that, we had 3 years together, and we really did. I mean, we did a lot of things at Michigan. So that kind of helped push me here to Kansas City. Kansas City was coming off a 13-3 season. I'm trying to make it back to those playoffs again, but getting back to Kansas City with Elvis, I mean, once we got it going again, we started to fill each other out again. We were on the same page. And again, by the time we got to that 2000 season, it was just rolling.
I hope you gave him hell about being the sexiest man alive too, because we don't know how that happened.
I don't know how that happened. That's beyond me. Elvis is not
sorry, Rich. Rich Gannon, we still owe him one for that.
Right.
Derrick, first of all, man, it's an honor to talk to you, man. Growing up watching you in the '90s, being a Chiefs fan as a kid, I always take this stuff very seriously. Getting to talk to defensive player last week in Reggie Tongue, getting to talk about this kind of stuff is something I don't take lightly, and something that I wanted to bring to you, knowing that we were going to talk to you this week, is your career was, especially in Kansas City. I mean, obviously, the totality of your career, you had several seasons of 1,000 yards. You averaged over 6 touchdowns for well over half a decade. The era you played in, to be able to be that productive in multiple, not just with multiple teams, but with multiple quarterbacks and multiple schemes, is something that people should take very seriously when looking back. And I think that you're one of those guys. We always talk about, imagine if Patrick Mahomes had prime Jamar Charles in the backfield. Imagine if, you always pair up the all-time greats together. Imagine if they get to play together. I think about that with you sometimes about, man, imagine if Derrick could play with the Chiefs today. Imagine if he could play in today's NFL, because I feel that you were one of those guys that were meant for this era. You had that ability to be able to play, and you were a big physical receiver that could also get downfield, make plays downfield. And that is what the NFL is all about today. It's about size and being able to get downfield and catch balls downfield. And so I feel that's one thing. And then another part of it is I feel that also you didn't really get enough credit for the guy that you were in your career. And that's something I've always wanted to ask you is, was that something that fueled you, man? Because I feel that guys that don't get their the credit I feel they deserve, even if you take it, you don't take it to heart, it can fuel you to, what, this next season, I'm going to be the guy that people are talking about. I'm going to be the guy that's going to change the trajectory of a team. Was that ever the case for you, or did you just go with business as usual and you didn't give a damn what anybody had to say about you?
Well, I think it's kind of both. It did fuel me to continue to prepare and play as hard as I can, be the best player that I could be. But at the end of the day, that's my job. I came to play every day. I wanted to be the best player that I could be. The awards and everything. I was a Pro Bowl alternate twice. Like that. I mean, and that kind of hurts a little bit. So I didn't have the big name recognition. Tim Brown was going to the Pro Bowl. Jerry Rice when he was with the Raiders, or Jimmy Smith and those guys. And I mean, and it seemed like it was all going off name. It didn't matter, what my stats were. And it seemed like, well, I have to keep doing this if I want to get recognized as, one of the guys that can make it to the Pro Bowl. But, for me, I'm not a big boisterous guy. I'm always known as the silent assassin type of person. So I'm always going about my business. Whether I get the recognition or not, I know I had a great career. I felt like I could, play with anybody. I was one of the best receivers during my time, and I just came out there every week to prove that I was going to be one of the best guys out there.
Well, I want to talk about the receiving core when you get to Kansas City in 1998. The Chiefs had signed Andre Rison the year before in 1997. Joe Horn's there kind of primarily as a kick returner. Kevin Lockett is there as well. Add in yourself. I mean, just that group of talent that you had around you. What was that like, just playing with that group? And, obviously fell short of where that team, a lot of people thought it would go, as there was a lot of predictions in the offseason, which is crazy to think of 16-0. And this team's the best team in football. The wheels fell off a little bit, but man, what a receiving core that was. What did you learn from that group, and what did you teach some of the young guys like a Kevin Lockett and a Joe Horn?
When anytime you come into a situation like that, and it happens every year, right? You're going to be the best team on paper before the season starts, but I knew that we would have a good team. We had some good receivers. We also had a guy named Tony Gonzalez there. That helped out as well. So, offensively, we had a good team. We had a great defense, Derek Thomas and all those guys. On paper, it looked like we should be better than we were. We had a decent year that first year. We had a chance to make it to the playoffs, missed out on those last 2 games, I believe it was. just couldn't pull it off. And then, the NFL is weird, man. It's very difficult for some teams to make the playoffs. I mean, you can make the playoffs here and there, and that's why, like, what the Patriots did and what the Chiefs are doing now is so impressive with getting to all these Super Bowls, because that's one thing that's very, very difficult to do, and to have that success for those guys right now, man, is very impressive. But for me, just coming in '98 with that type of receiving core, Andre is going to do what he does. We're all out there working hard, and I think what we showed those guys, and you could see it with Joe Horn when he left and went to New Orleans. Ended up having a great career. We taught him work ethic. We taught him some things, how to be a professional. I think some of those young guys come in and they think it's college. It's not. It's a business. You got to go about your work and continue to become the best player that you can be. And, it's not just going to be, hey, we'll let you hang out for a couple of years and then see if you work out later. I mean, if you're not working out now, they'll just go find somebody else. So that, that's something that you got to learn as an NFL player, is that you got to be consistent. You got to be tough. You got to make plays when you got the opportunity.
Yeah, Derrick, I mean, I'm the shill here for the 90s and the nostalgia. I know I got these Super Bowl trophies behind me because of Patrick Mahomes, but I got to go back to Marty Schottenheimer because that's the era I grew up in and kind of why I'm in sports media today. So although it was only for 1 year, what are some memories that you have of Marty? I know he's a detail-oriented coach. He gave very passionate speeches, was known to cry, shed a tear here and there. And then how surprised were you that he resigned at the end of that season?
Marty was another reason I came. A legendary coach. A lot of the things that he did were tough, but that's why I think the teams that he had played the way they did is because of him. His personality, the things we did in practice. We had physical practices. I remember when I came to Kansas City, we had 5 preseason games, so we had an extra game. We had a game in Japan.
Yeah.
And so here's a crazy thing, right? So we had that first game. We're going to Japan. We're flying over there. I normally cannot sleep on planes, so I didn't go to sleep the entire trip. So we land in Japan. We get on the bus. I think we're going to the hotel. We pull up to some field, and we're getting ready for practice. And I'm like, man, we just took like a 20-hour trip. I didn't go to sleep at all, and now I got to go to practice. So, that's just the type of person he was. I mean, we're going to get it in one way or another. I was surprised that he retired or, ended up going to another team and left us after that one season. But that's part of the NFL. I played for 9 years. I think I had 6 head coaches. So you just adjust, and that's one thing for me. I wish I kind of had is a little bit more stability in the coaching staffs. But it happens sometimes. Sometimes you're just, you can't, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't control it. You can't control who coaches or who stays or goes. Same thing with players. So Marty, I loved him, is really the reason I came here, and I'm still here to this day. So glad to be here.
Derrick, now that you're a college coach now for Avila, correct?
Correct.
Okay. With that said, when you have all your players, they're all different breeds of people. They all have different beliefs. They all have different political, religious, the point I'm getting to is the Harrison Butker tweet or the Harrison Butker speech 3 weeks ago. The reason why I bring it up is, I'm 54 years old, and in my circle of friends, there was always somebody who was really religious, somebody who wasn't really religious, somebody who was a different faith than myself. We were all different. And when we would sit around and we would talk, and we would know and we would accept the fact that we are different. And I know in the locker room in your NFL career, you've seen a lot of different people, a lot of different faiths, a lot of different beliefs, because not everybody is the same. And in my opinion, social media has tendency to make situations such as Harrison Butker's speech worse than it already is, because we are all different. Now that you're a coach, how do you handle that as a team when you know you got a whole bunch of different players? Do you worry about players being so headstrong and in their faith that they will say something on social media that you will be afraid of getting out? Or do you encourage that kind of situation? How do you feel about that, Derrick?
Well, the thing about social media is people take things and twist them and turn them in so many different directions. I try to keep those guys off of social media as much as possible. But the thing is, and like you said, everybody's different. People aren't going to agree on everything. But the one thing that you have to agree on as a team is being a team and being together no matter what. You won't agree on everything. I don't agree with everything that happens, but I know that to keep those guys together, like, we have to find something in common. All right. And that one common thing is becoming a team and striving for something. All right. And we want to strive for our guys, being college students. I want those guys to strive to graduate, to get a degree. All right. And then the next thing, we want to win football games. That comes along with being a student athlete. And, in the NFL, teams that can come together and hang out outside of the locker room and get that cohesiveness, those are the teams that end up being the better teams. And you're not going to go out with a guy and start talking about, hey, what do you believe in? What do you believe in? We're going to talk about the things that we have in common. And because obviously everyone's different. People believe in different things. And for me, it's like, hey, you can believe in whatever you want to believe in, as long as we're working towards this same thing. All right. We got to be working towards the same goal, and, believe what you want to believe. You can't just, don't try to force it on me. Right. Let's not talk about that. Let's I'm not going to force anything on you. You don't force anything on me. Let's talk about our common goal that we have in front of us, and let's go get it.
Well said.
Man, I want to go back to the 98 team, specifically the Monday Night Meltdown, as we know that Uncle Shannon, has one of the most popular podcasts in the world right now. So we know he can talk shit. Okay, we know that.
Right.
And
right.
And he's been known. There's some stories that have been coming out about that game and what he actually was saying to Derrick Thomas. Now, Derrick, you were on the sideline during that game.
Yeah.
You had a front row seat to that Monday Night Meltdown. What was Shannon Sharp saying to Derrick Thomas? I always wanted to know.
I can't tell you. I don't know. I wasn't on the field. I didn't hear it. But obviously something was going on, because Derrick, those guys were going at it. And it was, it's the Broncos as well. So I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know.
Do you have any theories?
This one,
whatever was being said was very upsetting to DT.
The stories that I've heard was that he was shouting out his girlfriend's number or his side chick's number, something like that, their phone number. Did you hear anything in the locker room about that?
I've heard something to that effect.
Okay. All right.
First down, 816. Second down, 255.
Ropers, I don't know.
Man, Derrick's dodging Brian's questions like Neo right now, man. He's trying to stay very, very, very careful with that one. I don't blame you. I get it, man. But actually, I'm kind of piggybacking on what Shaggy was just asking you. Shaggy was asking about the coaching side of things for you now, where you're currently at. I kind of want to take it to a different place though, because being an athlete as you were, I feel that the reason why some and most former athletes can't coach, or it's difficult for them to coach, is because of the fact that it comes so easy to you to do what you did. You can just go out there and make it happen. And I think sometimes it's hard for guys to just go and do that. It's hard to get others to do that because they just don't have the same capabilities you do, or, to tap into what, it's going to take for them to start doing it just like you did, or better, whatever the case may be. as a coach, you know, you've been coaching. If correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been coaching since about 2015.
Yeah.
And now you're a head coach, and so I'm sure there's different challenges that come with every step in that direction, going upward. But just in a general sense, going from being a pro player, you know, you start high school or Pop Warner High School, college, pro, and now you're at this level as a coach. What has it been like, man? Like having to learn how to, because I'm sure it's been challenging as hell for you to take away from, you know, just being a player and taking on that mentality of, I just got to go and do my job. I got the abilities to, let me find out how I can get these abilities out of each and every one of these guys. Because as Shaggy said, you know, every dude's got their own beliefs. Every dude's got their own thing going on outside of football. But every dude is different, too, in how you access their talent. It isn't like it's a robot where it's a set system in place. You have to sometimes be tougher on other guys. You know, other guys, they just do their job. You don't have to worry about them. What has that been like for you? And what have the challenges been that have gotten you to where you've been able to, you know, tap into some of these guys' abilities to become their best version of themselves?
So the one thing for me is, and I'm lucky that I got a chance to do, when I first started coaching, I did an internship with a Division III school. But the one thing I found out very quickly is you're correct. Like, guys just can't go do it. And I'm sitting there trying to figure out, hey, why can't you do this? Like, this is very simple. But at the end of the day, you got to figure out that these guys can't do it because, well, there's a Division III school. Not saying that those athletes are terrible, but you know, they don't have as much skill as some of the other guys, but or they just may not be big enough or whatever it is. But the thing is about coaching those guys or trying to get them to learn a skill is, like, I had to learn how to coach. Like, I had to have a coach teach me, like, how to get guys to learn things, because you can't just go out there and say, hey, run 10 yards and turn around right here and come back to the ball. Like, how do I get there? Like, what's the best way to do it? What's the technique? Like, how do I run a route? How do I really run a route? How do I beat a defensive back? Like, how do I get in and out of a break quickly? Like, things like that. So I had to actually, my first couple of years was, first of all, getting used to athletes that some guys just can't do everything, right? There's some guys that can do things better than other guys. Where does he fit in? And then how do I coach them? Like, how do you get these guys to do what you're looking for them to do? So, you know, I talked to a lot of coaches. I had a lot of guys that helped me, you know, become a better coach. And it's just not, you just can't go out there and say, hey, we're going to do this today. You got to have a plan. You've got to be prepared. You've got to be ready to go. Just like those guys, I mean, they're eager to learn and become better, and it's your job to help them become better. And that's what makes a good coach. You know, sometimes it's easier for guys that have talented guys. It's like, hey, this guy's making a play, but to make them become a great player, you know, you have to be able to teach them how to do some of the simple things. So just like getting in and out of a break. For me, for receivers, the faster you can get in and out of a break is one of the most important things, more than anything, is because defensive backs are savvy. They're good. They're fast. You know, they've got good technique. But the one advantage offensive players have is always, you know where you're going and they don't, and they have to react off you. So the faster that you can do things offensively, the better for you. But you know, just learning how to coach. You know, now over the years, you know, I've been around a lot of coaches. I've talked to a lot of coaches. I've done the internships, you know, with the Chiefs. I did one with the Ravens and one with the Jets as well. And just picking those coaches' brains on how, you know, and just watching, seeing how they teach guys. You know, even though these guys are professional athletes, it's still details. Everything's detailed. You know, if you can't teach the details to these guys, then you're probably not a good coach, and you probably won't have good players.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I tell you what, Derrick, it's been a true pleasure. What a career here from 1998 to 2001. Michigan Wolverines, national champions in 2023. So congratulations. You and Tom Brady got you national championship there with your alma mater. So
I've been having a good year. So now it's Avala's turn. So we got
exactly.
There you go.
Got the national championship. We got the Super Bowl. Now it's time for my team to get
That's
going.
right. We'll be watching, Derek. Thanks
Good
so
luck,
much,
Derek. Thanks again.
I appreciate you guys, man.
Such an honor. You're welcome on the show anytime, my friend.
Very much.
All right, man. No problem. Hey, thanks for inviting me.
Good
Absolutely,
luck. Thanks
anytime.
again.
Hey, Coach
Great guy.
Brooks, I just want to say from the Line of Scrimmage podcast on Star K Media, season 2 will be returning this fall on Wednesdays right here on Star K Media.
Yes.
But Coach Brooks,
breaking.
one of the best defensive tackles in Avila football history, by the way.
That's awesome. Wow, I didn't realize he played
Absolutely.
there. That's great.
Yep,
Sweet.
Yep, sure did.
Good connection there, and that's what we like to do here as we're in the we've springboarded into the summer months here of June. Technically still spring, but once Memorial Weekend hits, it's summer to me, which means the living is anything but easy. But right here, we like to keep you locked and loaded. And here coming up in just a few minutes, Justin Reid, current chief safety, is going to be joining us to talk about the three-peat. It's in the air. Is it going to happen? How locked in are they? Of course, we got the celebrity charity softball game here on Thursday night. We've talked about that. A lot more is going to be coming up with Justin Reid. A nice interview we recorded a little earlier. And until then, we got a little fun, few little nuggets we're going to throw at you like we like to do. This is where in the normal season, we'd be like going into the steel cage and battling it out over a few things. But we like to have fun. It is the summertime, and we are two-time in a row, back-to-back Super Bowl champions.
And with Brian.
Super Bowl what?
Champions.
We're going to disregard that and just go into Brian's favorite segment, Chief Comparison. So
I was talking about.
Brian called for Alex Smith and Trent Green.
Trent Green.
And, well, there we go. Without even looking at the numbers, immediately Lance goes Trent Green.
This is a tough one. Man, because Trent Green, you look at what he did, but you look at his surrounding parts. And it's like, man, that offensive line was so legendary. Rolf, Waters, Wegman, Shields, Tate. That offense did make Eddie Kennison, and I love Steady Eddie. I love him to death. But Steady Eddie had put up big numbers in that Dick Vermeil offense. So I'm thinking, like, man, if you put Alex Smith behind that offensive line and with Priest Holmes and with a prime Tony
We had Jamal Charles.
Man, please. Plus Alex Smith is way more mobile. Give me Alex Smith, baby.
No,
I love Trent Green.
Can I do my thing?
It's just Trent Green, and that's all we need. That's all.
Yeah.
Is.
Yeah. Look. Alex Smith was a very mobile quarterback, but here's the thing. Trent Green did have the better offensive line without question, but there's also no question who had the better weapons. And it's not like Alex Smith didn't have a very, very capable offensive line in front of him as well. I mean, that dude had – oh, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about he had multiple awesome guards, multiple tackles that played at a very high level.
Fisher, number 1 overall.
Yes, and then Mitchell Schwartz came in there in 2016, 2017. I mean, you're talking about this guy had plenty of protection on his other end, and he had better weapons, even with Tony Gonzalez included. You're talking about he had Travis Kelce in his 20s. He had Jamal Charles. He had several good wide receivers, Jeremy Maclin, guys of that nature.
Tyreek Hill.
Thank you, Tyreek Hill. I mean, I don't even want to forget him.
Oh, okay. See, now I got to interrupt because he had Tyreek Hill for 2 seasons. Let's not act like he had him the whole time.
I still listed other guys
Charles after 2013.
And Jamal Charles put up 2 of his best seasons after 2013.
Jamal Charles was hurt in 2015. He only played 2 seasons with Alex Smith.
And he had a baller season in 2013. You can't forget that. He had a baller season. Here's the point. Is that you look at Trent Green, and I brought this stat up last time we brought up Trent Green in a comparison. From 2001 to 2005, the only quarterbacks that had more yards and touchdowns than Trent Green were Peyton Manning and Brett Favre, and an offense that we all know was predicated around Priest Holmes running the ball. So with him being able to do that, despite having the ball given to his running back 350 times a season, that is nothing short of incredible. And Trent Green, when it comes to what you want out of a quarterback at the end of the day, is what Trent Green offers you more than Alex Smith. Yes, Alex Smith was a better athlete, but you remember back in the 49ers days, stacked offenses, and he was still getting benched 6 times. 6 times got benched.
Yes. Davis as your tight end.
Dude, he had 2 Hall of Fame offensive linemen. He had two
That's
offensive
Brandon Lloyd,
linemen.
your wide
Frank
receiver,
Gore.
that's stacked.
Frank Gore.
They went to a Super
Frank
Bowl.
Gore was cool. He wasn't Adrian Peterson.
Oh, who is though? That's my
He wasn't in the stack team with the 49ers.
dude. The 49ers were
They
the
went to a
best team in the
Super Bowl.
NFC. Yes, for 3 years straight. Alex Smith was their quarterback.
Without
They had-
Alex Smith, they went to the bowl.
That's right. You're making my point. You're making my
Exactly.
point.
No, man. No. Look, man. Look. They were never stacked with Alex Smith. Trent Green has had better weapons. Look, I want you to look at that 2015 playoff game that Alex Smith played against the Patriots and look at who his starting wide receivers were.
That's fair,
Jeremy
but here's the
Mac- you're
point.
right. Jeremy Maclin was hurt, and it was like
Jason
Jason
Avant.
It was
Avant.
Jason Avant, man.
Yes,
Albert
fair.
Wilson.
Who made a great catch.
Yes,
Albert
and here's the
Wilson,
thing, guys. If you look at Trent Green, the only time he had a true chance with a contending team, he had one of the worst defenses in the league, a no punt game. Trent Green was almost perfect in that game. That was not on Trent Green to lose. You put him on any of these Alex Smith teams from 2013 to 2017, you're telling me this team doesn't go to at least one AFC championship when they had the top 2, top 3, top 5, and top 7 ranked defense?
Hey, Lance, how many playoff games Trent Green went in a Chiefs uniform?
Did you hear what I meant? The only time Trent Green was healthy with a chance to actually contend, he had one of the worst defenses in the league. I think they were 31st in overall defense that season, but they were number 1
There were
ranked
other
offense.
years.
How
There
many
were other
times did
years.
Trent Green get to play Brian Hoyer in the playoffs?
Exactly.
Oh,
Thank you, Noah. That's the only.
How many times did Trent Green take the Chiefs to the playoffs? Period. Let's do that once.
No 3.
Come on, man.
Should have been in
talking about?
05.
He got
Should've been
one.
in
He
05.
got one playoff appearance. What are we
And-
talking about? We were a perennial playoff team with Alex Smith.
When Trent Green got
Right.
here, the Chiefs were
Right.
rebuilding from the 90s era. They transitioned. We talk about it in the freaking intro of the show.
Alex Smith came here after a 2-14 season.
With
What are we
a-
talking about?
With the greatest head coach in Chiefs history running
We
the
didn't
show.
know that back then, Lance. We didn't
But he
know that.
was.
We didn't
Was-
know that.
Okay, but he
I put
was
2 and
immediately.
14 I put 2 and 14 on Romeo Cornell more than I
Thank
put.
you. This roster
Yeah,
was
Steve
good.
Reid 11 and 5. Oh,
It
thank you for
doesn't
saving
matter.
us.
We were
Shane,
2
break
and
the tie.
14 for a reason.
Shane, who you got? It's Trent, right?
We had Matt Castle at quarterback.
We're gonna go for our next
Alex
one.
Smith came and immediately took us to the playoffs and should have won a game. You
He
talk
took
about a playoff performance.
17 touchdowns. He
Look
took
up
us
that
to the
playoff
playoffs.
performance and look up the wide receivers he had in that game. Dwayne Bowe and Donnie Avery.
Who would have been
Come on,
better than
man.
anything Trent Green had at wide receiver?
No.
Shane, break the tie.
They're
There's
asking
no
for you to
time.
comment. Tony Russell, comment. Shane.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
going to go with
asking,
because of
begging.
consistency, Trent Green. It was
Thank you.
Just out of
Okay.
consistency. But
Next
I
one
mean,
up.
That's it.
Next one is we've got a doozy
Oh,
here.
man.
Ha-ha!
Bree Smith. Oh, I've done it again.
It's Jamal
Jamal
for me.
Charles.
Just kidding,
love
everyone. That was just a
I
little,
love Priest
I had
Holmes,
to make
but
fun of myself there.
I
Priest
love
Holmes,
Priest
oh,
Holmes, but it's Jamal Charles because he did it without an offensive line and a quarterback.
More durable, better athlete,
Yeah.
better rep player. Yeah,
He was the
Jamal.
only player on a bad team that everybody knew he was going to get the ball. He still shined.
Yep.
But I love Priest Holmes, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to go with Jamal Charles. What do you say, Lance?
Feel it.
No, it's Jamal Charles. He was. Listen, guys. I mean, we're talking about the different. Not he didn't just not have an historic offensive line. He had an horrific offensive line for half of his career. Battled injuries. Still had the highest yards per rush in NFL history, with literally nothing at quarterback and literally nothing at offensive line. He was the guy for the majority of his early career, and still went out there and put up insane numbers. And was an incredible. He was an underrated pass catcher too. So Priest put up better numbers, but he played in an era where it was all centered around him, and he did his thing, no question about it. But we saw once he went off, Larry Johnson came in and was putting up just as big of numbers for a 2-3 year span as well. Jamal Charles was a much more special player.
Brian.
Jamal? I miss
Yeah.
saying that.
We like Jamal.
Jamal
We love
Charles.
Jamal.
Jamal Charles was so cold. He was on the brink of topping Derek Thomas as my favorite Chief of all time. Like he was close. But then he had to go to Denver.
Well,
He was
Yeah,
broken.
last. It wasn't a.
He had to go to
They
Denver.
got the name, not the body.
Look, all is forgiven with that. Love Jamal. He was so special and so damn rated, man. It was ridiculous how still to this day how people don't put Jamal Charles in the class in this era of what a Marshawn Lynch or Adrian Peterson. To me, he's in that same class.
Yeah,
I will vote him in the Hall of Fame for sure.
Yeah.
His yards per carry up there with Jim Brown. Like Jamal Charles was the man. I love him. Definitely one of my favorite Chiefs of all time.
Absolutely.
Fair
And John
enough.
Harrison here is chiming in. I'm going to throw this in. I think Troy Aikman is one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame. His team was great with a great defense, top 5 every year, won 3 Super Bowls. Aikman stats, 164 touchdowns, 141 interceptions, and he didn't play in the 70s with bad offenses. My only retort to that, and going back to John Elway's numbers and Troy Aikman, maybe it's just that I'm a shill for the 90s and the era I grew up in. I feel like I've got to protect these guys, even if I didn't like them at the time. They were playing in the 90s. It was a run first. The defense could jam your receivers. They were all over.
Leading rusher in NFL history, played on his team.
Yeah, and so I got to defend Troy Aikman here a little bit.
No, real quick. I don't want to go on this, but you would agree though. There's probably about 13 quarterbacks in that era though that could have won those 3 Super Bowls with the Cowboys though.
I mean, there are other quarterbacks. Whether
Yeah.
it's as many as 13, I don't know.
I'm just saying, like Dan Marino never won one, and Trent Dilfer won one. You know what I mean? I think it's a lot of times it's situational, and Troy Aikman is known for winning, not because of what he was as an individual. He to me he was never anything special. He just kind of rode the coattails, stayed out of the way, and had success. It's just my opinion, though.
I mean, if he had a clutch gene, he came up with big
Lance.
throws late in games. Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah.
We also have to be careful when people say, well, he had all those, he had this offensive line and running game, and Troy Aikman obviously did. Because remember, that's what's so great about being a Chiefs fan the last 2 years. Because people said the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes will never win a Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill. And he did it, baby. He went back to back, Jack, without Tyreek Hill.
Damn right.
So,
Hi, Tyreek. We love you.
that's on Mahomes, baby.
It goated him.
Dynasty.
Tyreek wants a new contract again.
Yeah.
Tyreek wants a new contract.
I'll give him one.
Contract, Noah?
I'll give him a contract.
They just signed Jalen Waddle. They've got, my goodness, the Dolphins going to have, I don't know what the Dolphins are going to do, man. They're going to have good receivers. They're going to be fun and
salary cap hell.
Yeah.
And
Just
two is
like
not
the
even showing up
Bengals.
to mandatory camps. That's another problem they got on their hands.
It is now time as we bid you farewell to take you to our exclusive interview with current Chief, 2-time Super Bowl champion from Stanford University, number 20, Justin Reid is joining us on this very show. And that's it for us. We will see you next time right here
That's
in Arrowhead
it for us here
Cheers.
live. You will enjoy our pre-recorded interview with Justin Reid right now.
Yeah.
All right. What's up,
Justin, hello, sir. How's it going?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Sorry for the delay.
No problem at all, man. It's a pleasure. I tell you, it's been a busy off season for you. You're in Japan. You're at the White House, where, by the way, you might as well just move in at this point. And now you've got Kansas City charity softball on Thursday. It's been a busy off season, man. It's going to keep going. How do you make time for all this?
You know what? You just kind of keep knocking things out one at a time and don't get too far ahead of yourself and focus on the moment. It's a busy off season and, trying to take advantage of all the momentum and all the great that come with being 2-time world champions back to back. But at the same time, keeping the focus on what the ultimate prize is right now, which is to go back in 3-peat. So just got to take things one day at a time.
Absolutely. And Justin, I mean, there's been some new rules this offseason, whether it's the hip drop tackle, them getting rid of that and how that's going to affect you. And also the new kickoff rule, and you could be our new kickoff man. It's an exciting offseason for you. I know you're wanting to get that job.
Yeah, you know what? I was actually practicing some of the I practice reps every day. I practice every time we do kickoff or kickoff return. But it's fun. It's a new rule. I think it'll make that play a lot more exciting for all the fans to come in and watch. And then the hip drop tackle, unfortunately, it just is what it is. We don't make the rules. We just have to play by them. And, you just got to play with the cards you're dealt and try and make the most out of it.
Man, thank you for joining the show, Justin. Real quick off the field, I know you do a lot with tech. I did your event like a year and a half ago. at the Crown Center. Are you still into tech and and the kids around Kansas City? Are you still involved in that? And if so, can you explain kind of what you do with that?
And we know you have a golf tournament coming up, a golf event, June 17th at Oakwood Country Club.
Yeah, that's all to benefit my foundation, J. Reid. Indeed, we have so much positive momentum happening right now in the foundation space. The focus of the foundation is bridging the digital divide in the tech space, making computer science and other computer science skills cool. And we also teach them financial literacy and other life skills that I think will be helpful to transition our young men and women in high school into being contributing members of society in a healthy space. And we do that by one-on-one mentorship. We try and give them a vision. We have Microsoft as a partner in the foundation, so we do Excel proficiency, the whole Microsoft Office suite, and give them familiarity and skills there. Because if you know how to do that, you'll always do a job. Somebody's always looking for somebody to organize their data. And we operate heavily, and we're getting started in Houston, Texas. We're just going to keep that makes sense. But the fundraiser that we're coming up, the golf tournament, is exciting because I get to do two things at once: play golf, and I get to raise money for my foundation at the same time. So it's a fun two birds in one stone situation. We're going to raise some money, and that's getting poured right back into Kansas City to help out the youth here.
Hello, Justin. A question I have for you, man. It's something that I feel that doesn't get asked a lot to you guys, probably a lot by the media, unless something big happens. But, something the Chiefs have been really good at is evaluating talent at certain positions. Obviously, the tight end position, you have legendary players like Tony Gonzalez, Travis Kelce, running back with Priest Holmes, Larry Johnson for a short time. Obviously, Jamal Charles. Looks like Isaiah Pacheco is starting to become that guy as well. But safety is also a position they've done very well at. Just in the last 10, 12 years, you're talking about Eric Berry. They drafted him. They went and signed Tyrann Mathieu. And now you are currently in that position. You're a two-time champion now. You've helped this team. You've helped this defense do what they've done. And it's something that I've always found interesting, though, because of the fact that although you guys have all played the same position when it comes to the safety position, you, Eric Berry, Tyrann Mathieu, there are differences in how you guys have approached it both on and off the field. And what I mean by that is Eric Berry was more of a quiet guy that kind of just led by example, didn't really say a whole lot, wasn't a hoorah guy, wasn't a social media guy. We knew that Tyrann Mathieu was very different. We knew that he was a very, very much hoorah guy, talked a lot on social media, sometimes to a fault, where him and fans were getting back and forth, a lot of banter back and forth on social media, Chiefs fans. And we know that one thing about this fan base is they're very passionate and they care very much. We're all very much included in that. But I want to know from your perspective, first of all, how do you handle things on the field when it comes to leading the guys, leading the group? Are you more of a lead by example guy? Or are you more of a leader by, hey, let's get this thing going, let's get pumped up, I want to be a guy that's going to be saying things? Or are you a guy that, like I said, keeps it a little bit more on the moderate side? And on social media, how do you handle both the positives and negative things from Chiefs fans and from fan bases across the landscape?
I think we lost Justin there for a second here. So we'll see if we can get him back. It's real life, sports fans. Okay.
Technology, sometimes it goes awry.
So,
yeah, we're recording this so we can just wait till he comes back and edit it together.
Got some elevator music?
Yeah.
We got you back, Justin. Lance, I want you to start at the beginning of that and go all the way once again.
Yeah, Justin, can you hear us?
Justin, can you hear us?
Yeah, I apologize. My cut out on me. I couldn't hear a word. I heard that you talked about the Chiefs traditionally doing well drafting the tight end position and the running back position and the safety position, but then I cut that.
Perfect. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to get to is we've seen the Chiefs do well at certain positions. Your position is one they've done really well at. And just over the last 10, 12 years, Eric Berry to Tyrann Mathieu to now you're a two-time Super Bowl champion. You helped lead the way. This is kind of a two-parter question, though, because Eric Berry, like I said, was more of a quiet leader, didn't really do a lot of talking, wasn't a hoorah kind of guy, didn't really get the guys pumped by what he was saying on the field. And then on on social media, on the outskirts of things, he was a very quiet guy, went about his business differently than a lot of other people. Then Tyrann Mathieu comes into town. It's a completely different experience with him for a fan's perspective. He was, big time loud guy on the field, and then on social media, sometimes to a fault, he would get overly passionate and things would spill over with fans. He would get arguments with fans on Twitter and things of that nature. I kind of want to get a perspective of who you are as both a player and as a person when it comes to on the field. Are you more of a guy that likes to talk, or are you more of a guy that like, hey man, just follow my lead. I'll show you how to get it done. We'll get this thing done. And when it comes to social media, how do you handle things? Because I know there's both positives and a lot of negatives that come your guys' way on social media, not just from Chiefs fans, but from fans across the landscape. I just kind of want to get an idea of how you handle all of that in one.
Yeah, so I see myself as a force multiplier. You know what I mean? I see my value not only in the play that I execute myself and being a physical guy on the field. I like to set the tone. I want wide receivers to know if they come across my way, they're going to get hit and they're going to pay the toll of coming across the highway. But aside from that, my value is also in how well can I make the players around me? How much better can I make the players around me at the same time? So part of my strengths is I'm really good about processing information, shifts, motions, what's about to happen. And I try and put guys in the best position possible for them to make plays as well. So it's not just about me making plays, which I want to make all the plays in the world and, chase all pro and all those things as well. But football is a team sport. And it's about how well can I help the next man be prepared and be confident, because we're going to need everybody. You know what I mean? We're going to need every man on the field to be on the field confident and to know what's about to happen, so that when your opportunity to make a play comes, you make the play. So, I see so much value in that. And that's why I'm so intentional about taking the extra time to work with the young guys, to work with the defense, to have off schedule meetings where I'll text guys after practice, go over different looks that we got just to make sure we're all on the same page. So I like to do that follow-up type of stuff. And then as it comes to the more public space with social media, I like positivity. I don't try and circulate too much around negativity. If you try and find negativity, you'll find it. It's not very hard to find, especially on the internet. There's people, no matter what you do, that'll be upset about some things. There's some people that'll be excited about those things. And I choose most of the time to highlight people saying and replying positive things. So I like to keep my feed mostly positive. Occasionally, I'll snap back if something egregious, you know what I mean, or something I just don't agree with. I need to set the record straight on it. I'll clear the air that way. But for the most part, I think that a more positive space is just healthier. So I try to focus.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, we have a question here from our fifth ally who couldn't be here, Justin. We're going to bring him in. He did a pre-recorded video for us. That's how we do it here. So here's from our guy, Shane Williams, for you, Justin.
Hey, Justin, how important is it for you, as well as the rest of the team, to three-peat?
Well, enough.
Wait, hold up. Can you play that video again? The volume didn't work for me.
Hey, Justin, how important is it for you, as well as the rest of the team, to three-peat?
Oh, huge, man. How important is it for? I mean, this is history. I mean, we had a historical year last year, especially on the defensive side of the ball, in the playoff run and what we did. And that is awesome. And we have a ring ceremony coming up on the 13th. But the day after the ring ceremony, that chapter is closed. Last season, you know what I mean? It's a great accolade. It's something you can look back on the wall, but it means nothing this year. And, we all have our pride and raw hunting. We're trying to reload here and be ready to go on another run and win another championship. And we know that it'll be tough. It won't be easy. There'll be a ton of adversity somewhere along the way. So at some point during the season, fans might lose hope off of whatever happened week, but we're just going to stay strong in our mission and our confidence and respecting ourselves. And we're going to find a way to pull this out and just do it again, because that's what we do here in Chiefs Kingdom. We find ways to win championships.
So, Justin, I want to go back to the Kansas City charity softball game. It's this Thursday. I want to get into it a little deeper. You and Trey Smith have kind of taken this thing over. MVS kind of had it last year. I know you played in the event. So I know we've had some people announced. I know George Karloff is going to be there, Trent McDuffie. So just kind of talk about what fans can expect out there. As you can see, you can go to KansasCityCharitySoftball.com and get tickets. It's going to be a huge crowd. Last year was massive. It sold out, so better get them now. There's not going to be anything left on June 6th. But, man, this is going to be an awesome event for charity. And, man, if it's anything like last year, it's going to be an event to remember.
Yeah, hell yeah. It's going to be the same offense versus defense structure. I've been taking the defense. We've been hitting the batting cages. We're out how we went last year. We're working teamwork. We're doing extra communication stuff to make sure we're on the same page. But the same format as far as offense versus defense. I wanted to add some more wrinkles into it, add a little bit more of my personality into the event. So we're going to have some fun side shows and events that's going to happen in between innings as ways to actually score extra runs. So when guys get out on the field, it'll be competitive no matter what. So it'll be entertaining. For fans to watch. It's a total family atmosphere. Bring your wives, bring your kids. A whole lot of fun and the chance to see your favorite athletes doing something that might be a little out of some of our comfort zones, but still having fun nonetheless. So we're really excited about it. It's going to be a great time. You won't want to miss it.
Hey, speaking of showing your personality, Justin, real quick, fellas, do you remember in the playoff run, I think it was against the Ravens, and you sacked Lamar Jackson in the open field, and you took the liberty of yelling at the camera that was coming above you in the middle of the field. Do you remember that? You see it. You remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to tell you, at home, we everybody like erupted. Yeah. So we need more of that, Justin. We need more.
All that other, bull job or whatever. Just gonna let the pads talk.
You're looking forward to it. And Justin, I want to ask kind of about your development from college, where you went to Stanford and into the NFL, whether it be a guy like Lovie Smith, Romeo Crennel, Anthony Pleasant, and here in Kansas City, Dave Merritt, Steve Spagnuolo. How have each of those guys helped you and molded your game and gotten you to where you are at today?
Yeah, it's been huge. And I'm like a sponge, man. Like, I love information. I love feeling like I'm getting better. I love chasing improvement. That's what motivates me. Like, when I feel like I'm getting better, understanding something more, it just motivates me to go even harder. And it really goes back all the way to Dwayne Aquina was at Texas before he came to Stanford. He had a long list of guys: Michael Huff, Sage Griffin, Earl Thomas, Kenny Vaccaro, long list of resumes of successful safeties in the league. And I got to learn from him. From there is where I started learning a little bit more about man coverage, because in high school we played all zone and we did a lot of press work. I worked with a guy, Trent Irwin, who plays for the Bengals. We used to meet after practice all the time and work press man. And then I come into the NFL, and under that time it was Bill O'Brien, and I had two coaches, D'Anton Lynn and Anthony Midget. And from there, it was just like getting adjusted to the speed of the NFL. They were very heavy on being sound in the playbook, knowing what to do, when to do it, making your calls early and loud, having that sense of confidence. So that's where I learned the importance of the playbook from. And Romeo Crennel's defense is not easy. Spags is probably the hardest defense and most complex in the NFL, but Romeo Crennel is chasing right after him in terms of complexity. And then from there, you end up going to like Lovie Smith and a couple other coaches in between. And, what you learn from Lovie's a little bit more playing free, a little bit more zone style defense on a quarterback, let your natural instincts take over. And, from there, you just take pieces of each of them. There's times when you have to play within the scheme to make sure the scheme works. And there's times where, hey, I don't really have a job based on the play that the offense ran, and I have a little bit of freedom. And now you just let your instincts still take over and go try and make a play somewhere else, go try and help somebody out. So there's pieces of all that's just continuing the development. And there's a line that sticks with me to this day that is a quote that said, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. You know what I mean? So consistently chasing improvement, never feeling satisfied with where you are, never feeling like you have it figured out, but always trying to find ways to keep getting better and adding a little bit more to your game is what keeps me going.
2 years into your Chiefs tenure, you have 2 rings. So, you're 2 for 2 so far. You spoke a little bit ago about how you're just very confident that getting that three-peat. Obviously, that's the biggest goal priority for the entire team. You guys have one mindset. I know that's the reason why veterans like you were on this team to keep the main thing. The crazy thing about it, though, Justin, is that you see the way that you guys have won these back-to-back titles. It was really different, if we're being honest. Not that the defense wasn't good the first time around, but the defense really led the way the second time around. You guys were the steering the ship. I mean, obviously Patrick goes God mode on the offensive side. Him and Travis with the goat to goat connection they have. They get the job done, but what you guys did on the defensive side of things made the ultimate difference. And what I love about the two trips that you guys had these last 2 years is, as I said, the first trip, you guys have the number one offense, explosive. Patrick's winning MVP. You guys have Arrowhead Stadium as home field advantage. And the second time's the complete opposite. They're struggling to move the ball and score points on the offensive side. You're on the road, but the defense continues to maintain things. To me, I feel like this last championship was the hardest one that you guys have won in the Mahomes era. I know you've been a part of 2 of the 3, but I think this was the hardest one. But I'm gonna be honest with you, Justin, and not to make this too long-winded. I think you guys really enjoyed it, though. I think you really enjoyed being a defensive player. And I want to put words in your mouth. I want you to confirm this for me. Maybe if I'm wrong, tell me. But I think you guys really enjoyed being the villain because you guys went on the road and shut up a lot of these crowds and a lot of these fan bases that said, oh, if you just get Mahomes on the road in the postseason, we can take care of business. And the opposite took place. I have to imagine that felt pretty damn good, man.
No, 100%. Especially as a defensive guy, this last Super Bowl meant, the first one is the first one ever. So that one meant a lot. But similar to what you said, this last year was a defensive battle. We were the number 3 defense in NFL history throughout the playoffs. So it was like it was a strong sense of pride in the way as a defense we came out formed, and you just find a way to make it happen. And oh man, there's so many bases here. I kind of lost my train of thought. Where were we at with that?
Because I kind of asked an open-ended question, but just to kind of compare and contrast these 2 Super Bowl runs for you, and just how I think, even though it was harder, more of a challenging run this last time around, being on the road and the offense clunking, I still feel it was a lot of fun for you guys to prove a point that the defense can get the job done. You can win on the road.
So the Kansas City Chiefs are no longer the Cinderella story. You know what I mean? 2019, the Kansas City Chiefs were the Cinderella story. It's been 50 years. They're coming back. Mahomes is playing awesome. He deserves to win a Super Bowl. He ends up winning the Super Bowl. And now we've been on this run that's been going on for 5 years now, and people are kind of tired of the Chiefs always winning. So now, we're no longer the Cinderella story. We're the big bad wolves of the NFL, and everyone's gunning for us. But you know what? I wouldn't want it any other way. You're getting everybody's best shot week in and week out, and biting, scratching, clawing, finding the way to win. And that's what good teams do is whatever you have working, you focus on your strengths, you try and work on your weaknesses. And, the first year our offense was by far our strength. And the second year, when it came down to the playoffs, the defense was our strength. And Pat was still able to make some special plays along with Trav and all the other guys on offense to really make sure we got the wins. But you just got to find a way, and like I said, we're embracing it. We're embracing that role. We're not scared of anybody, and we're ready to go play.
Well, Justin, we cannot thank you enough for your time here on Arrowhead Allies, and we're going to see you on Thursday night. Before we hit you go, man, we got to hit you with our final four quick-hitting questions, one from each of us. They'll be fun. We'll make it a fun one, and I'll start because I want to have a little fun here because I want to know in 2032, when everyone's done playing football, this is the president and vice president. Who's the president and who's the vice president here on this ticket in 2032, Justin? Because I'm ready to vote for it right now.
You know what? I'll call Trey Smith the president because Trey Smith is just such a smart, cerebral guy. He's the ultimate teammate. He's a guy that everybody wants to. If I'm Isaiah Pacheco, I want to run right behind Trey Smith. Trey Smith is leading the way. I'll call him the president. I call myself the vice president.
I'm in. I'm voting for it right now. I'll mail it in.
Go for it, Brian.
Oh, I'm next? Okay. Yeah. If number 20 was not available, what number would you be?
Oh, woof. 20 wasn't available. What number would I be?
Single digit somewhere.
Probably not far. If I got to go back to Ocho, that's what I wore in college. I go back to 8. It'd either be 8, 7.
Why 8? 8 is my favorite number.
Perfect, bro. We're gonna go with 8.
Why 8? Is that significant to you?
You know what? My favorite number growing up was actually 7, but I wore number 1 in high school, and number 7 wasn't available when I was in college. So 7 plus 1 and it also happened to be my best childhood friend's favorite number was also 8. So it made sense.
That's perfect. And Justin, I got to ask you, I mean, obviously we signed Chris Jones. It's a great thing, but unfortunately it means you can't keep everyone. How much is this defense going to miss L'Jarius Sneed? Obviously we've had Dave Merritt and others come out and say it's like replacing Michael Jordan. You can't really do it, but we do love what we have in Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams, along with Najee Johnson, Nick Jones. We've got a lot of guys back there to help fill the role in kind of a collective, but how much are we going to miss Justin Reid or L'Jarius Sneed out there?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you don't replace a guy like L'Jarius. He's one of one. I mean, the physicality that he brought to this defense, if you put up against anybody, he'd make it a street fight. You know what I mean? It was so fun to watch, and it energized the whole defense to go work. So you're going to miss a guy like that. I wish him all the best. He's one of my good friends. He's also a Louisiana guy, so we have a bunch of connections down there. But still excited for the next man up to step up. That's what this NFL that's what the NFL is about. There's always so much change and things rotating and spinning around so quickly. It's no different than anybody, but like your guy getting hurt, guy transfers teams, guy hurt unexpectedly early in the season. The next man up needs to be ready to go, and that's why I emphasize trying to get those guys prepared as possible, because at some point, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else, we're going to need somebody who isn't a starter to step up and play like a starter and make some big time plays. There's some opportunity on the field for Josh, for Jalen, for Najee, for any of the other guys, some of the rookies that we have to step up and make a name for themselves.
Absolutely. We saw Brian Cook go down last year. Mike Edwards, Jamari Connor started getting more reps, and you guys won a Super Bowl. So yeah, like you said, you got to step up. Go ahead, Lance.
Last one.
Yeah. So, quick 2-parter here, Justin. You got a lot of football left, man. You're still in your 20s. You got a lot of football left. You probably play as long as you want to, man. But I've always been interested when players are done, how they handle things. Some get into coaching, some get into broadcasting, and then some just disappear. Say, hey, look, I make generational wealth. Me and my family, we're gonna go get an RV, or we're gonna go get some boat. We're just gonna be disappearing, doing our thing for the rest of our lives. What are you gonna be doing when the day comes that Justin Reid is no longer playing football? And my second one, because I'm the fat guy on the show, if there's a plate in front of you and you can fill it with one food for the rest of your life, what is it?
Okay. I'll answer the first one first.
Okay.
Wait, sorry. What was the first question?
So
life after football, what are you doing?
Yeah, what is life after football for Justin Reid?
I love the game of football. So I would love to do three things. One, Ryan Clark is a really good friend of mine. So I love what he's doing in that he's an analyst with ESPN and the analytics side, but he also, to stay close to football, he runs a DB camp in the offseason that college players, high school players, professional players, they all go work with them, and he shares his expertise, and he basically turned into a coach. But it's a lot more one-on-one session, watching film, really working on developing guys in a very intimate setting. I would really enjoy something like that, so I can stay connected to the game and maybe have a little bit more freedom than, God bless coaches, but they put in so much time into the building, and you'd be able to stay connected to the game, but have a little bit more free time. So I love in analytics. I love to do the one-on-one coaching to help develop DBs, maybe some kickers too. And then the last piece is I'm actually really into commercial real estate. So I have a great down in Tampa that we work with each other constantly throughout the year. She's educating me to hopefully equip me to one day be in a position to start my own. So commercial real estate is another aspect. And if there's one food that I'm going to eat over and over again the rest of my life,
spicy gumbo,
chicken wing.
You know what though? Like, I thought about saying red beans and rice and going with some Creole, but I love pasta and cheese so much.
Yeah.
I would just say like a chicken Alfredo. Like, just
nice.
I could eat that every day.
See?
Hell yeah. Carbs, baby. Carbs.
Noah, there's people like you that are, that'll enjoy the simple foods. There you go. Noah's like that.
Yes, I could eat that. Picky
Justin,
eater over here. That's something I could get down.
Justin, dude, we can't thank you enough for joining us here on Arrowhead Allies. It's been a true pleasure. We'll see you Thursday night at the Kansas City charity softball game. As always, best of luck this season, man. And thank you so much for your time, my friend.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys having me on board.
Absolutely. It was an honor. Take care.
Thank you.